Hello there, welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Bedwars map for your Fortnite creative maps. So this is going to be going over how to make a bed system, a forge, many island spawners, and a shop, plus a few extras. If you want to hop around this video, please use chapters or check the description below for timestamps. You will need them. Okay, let's get started into the tutorial by making the island. If you haven't already, go ahead and come to your island podium, create new, and go down and either do the grid island, which has the middle marked, or the Kevin floating island, which has nothing below it. I'm going to be making a Kevin floating island for this tutorial. Once you decide on your island, hit confirm, and basically, we're going to head in. Make sure to name your island something. Now that you've came in, press your map key, and instantly, just ping. Don't move your cursor at all. Now that you have done that, what you need to do is go grab a hover platform device, place it down on your marker, and then once you have done that, you can start deleting all the other islands until you're left with just a blank island. If your map cursor was not in the center for the previous step, what you should do is hit leave creative and leave your current session. Now that you've done that, join back, make sure your cursor does not move in the hub. The hover platform you just placed is now the exact middle of your map. What you should do is start building out a middle area with it. Make sure that it's symmetrical on all sides so that all teams have a fair chance. I would recommend making your middle a lot larger than mine is, or a little bit larger than mine is at least. I'm just making my map pretty small just for showcase purposes. Now build it all out with wood. Just make sure that everything is how you want it to be. Now bridge out in one direction till you feel like that's enough for one island. Now what you do is multi-select that using R or right arrow on console and place it on all four sides. These are going to be your islands, and make sure that you are comfortable and you're happy with the space that you have given these islands. Now we're going to be making the elimination zone that kills you when you fall off. Go to your devices tab in your creative menu and grab a hover platform. You should probably have one from before, but if you don't, grab one. Now go to the middle of your map and then just fall down until you reach almost the bottom. Once you've done that, place your hover platform like 5 blocks above the bottom and place the floor. Now what you want to do is find a damage device. Place that down and set the settings as I do. After we are done marking out the islands, go to one of the player islands and build a bridge out. Now basically what we're going to be doing is connecting these islands to a square. By making a square with the islands in the corner, you can place an optional second material island. Obviously this is optional, and if you do not want this, then just do not do this step. But I highly recommend it, as it is like crucial to most Bedwars maps. Obviously it's not physically required, but highly recommended. Now that you've connected the two, you can make the island on the corner to ensure fairness. Make sure you repeat this throughout the whole map. Now this is for a 4-player setup. I'm going to show you what you can do if you have 8 players. Here is an example of an 8-island setup. To place diamond islands on these, as I'm going to be calling them, we're going to want to basically bridge out from middle. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either bridge out from middle in between the 2 islands, as you're about to see here. Although this is a pretty great way, you don't have to do this. The other way, which I could recommend a little bit more, is bridging out diagonally where the 2 islands meet up. Anywhere on this diagonal line, you can place the diamond island. You can either place it at the very back corner, which I probably wouldn't recommend, or place it towards the middle, which is probably my biggest recommendation. Once you have done that, you can move on to the next step. Please note that for an 8-island setup, replicating the tech further on in this video will require you to do double the amount of work. I'm only going to be showing up to 4 islands, as that's how much I'm building for this example. Please double it if you have 8. Now that you've made your second material islands, we can start working the player islands. For around the bed, I'd recommend a 5x5 area. This is to make sure you have adequate room to defend your bed. For the actual base itself, I would recommend a 3x3 area at least, probably a bit more. and you can place a little block in the back to place your items, the forges in, but I probably wouldn't recommend doing that. Some tips I can give. First of all, make sure you build your island. I'm not going to tell you how to do this because I want yours to be unique, and it's up to you. Honestly, I'm not the greatest builder. And now let's go over some tips. Make sure to keep your islands under 100 tiles at least, probably, maybe a bit more, just so you can multi-select them around the map. Also, I wouldn't put rocks and other obstacles inside the bed defense area, as that can get a little bit annoying, and if you have environment damage off, you can't remove them. So, seriously, I probably wouldn't. Most certainly not. Alright, now grab the objective device gallery and place it down. I'm going to delete the 3 blue things because I don't think it's a great bed defense at all. Now, grab the one that you want. I'm going to be using the bed because it's classic. These spawn slightly rotated. You're going to have to manually rotate them without a grid snap so that they are aligned properly, as you see what I'm doing right here. Once you have done that, place it in the center of your island, which is marked by the cone for me right now. And once you've done that, go into your devices tab and grab the player spawn pad. Place this down alongside your bed and let's set some settings. For the objective device, set settings as follows. Health is your choice. I would recommend either 500 or 2000. Owning team, set the team 1. Beacon, arrow. Actually, well, first of all, your health owning team should most certainly be 1. If you have 8 teams, make sure that you make 8 beds. We'll be going over that. Beacon, arrow. Beacon color should be friendly/enemy. HUD health bar is your choice by -10 tiles. Show an objective HUD on. Objective identifier, match the team. So for this, an A. So destroys message is on. Critical notification threshold 25. Warning notification threshold 50. And when destroyed, transmit on channel 1. Alright, now we're going to be setting the player spawn pad settings. Team, set that to 1. Uses island start, no. Visible during games, no. And disable when receiving from channel 1. Now multi-select both of these and copy them to the amount of islands you have. Set the settings, increment these settings as follows. Set the owning team up by 1, so the owning team to 2. Objective identifier up by 1, so in this case B. And go down to when destroyed transmit on, set that up, so for this case channel 2. For the spawn pad, set the team to 2 and disable when receiving from to channel 2. Now that you have done that, let's move on. Make sure to place these beds on the islands that they correspond to. Now we're going to be grabbing the player spawn pad and rotating it and placing it inside of the bases. Make sure to make these centered-ish. It doesn't really have to be centered, but I would highly recommend it. Place 2 spawn pads on each island. I'd recommend if you're on 8 islands, 2 per. If you're not, maybe 4. Alright, for item spawner, place down an item spawner and set settings as follows. Visible during games off. Time before first spawn, instant. Time between spawns is your choice, depends on your balancing. Run over pickup on. Item visibility is your choice. And continuously spawn items, I recommend on. After you've done that, let's make a stone item spawner for your second material. But first, you need to pick a material for your main island spawner. I'd recommend either wood or gold. For this example, I'm using wood, but I kind of recommend gold a bit more, as it's a bit more flexible. Once you have done that, place it somewhere. Either place it in the back where you made a 1-hole inlet, or place it in like one of the corners marked by something. Once you have done that, we can move on to the next step. Alright, we're going to be making the second material islands now. Grab another item spawner if you haven't already. Place it down on one of your corners where your second islands are going to be. Set the settings as follows. Items respawn on, random spawns off, visible during games off. Time before first spawn, I'd recommend as instant. Time between spawns is your choice. I'm going to be choosing 10 seconds for this. Run over pickup on. Item visibility, I'd set this up. And continuously spawn items is really your choice. It can be on or off. Test it, find what fits you best, and then once you have done that, you can copy these to all 4 of your corner islands and copy one to middle so we can make our mid island. And now what you need to do to change it is I would probably set the time spawn up. I would set continuously spawn items probably off for the mid one. And that's really all you have to do. You can just copy them. And for this, I'd probably use metal for the middle. It's really your choice. Now we're going to be making the shop system. So grab a vending machine from the devices tab and place it down. Set the settings as I do. So that's the first item is your choice. It can be honestly anything, and depending on like what item you're planning on putting there, set the first item resource type to whatever your player islands have on them, and head down to, well, actually that's it for the settings. Once you have done that, feel free to copy it over, copy it constantly, grab the weapons that you want to put in them and put them in there. Do not put more than one item in each vending machine, please. The rotating of the vending machines, cycling of them is kind of annoying, so I wouldn't do it if I were you. Honestly, if you're placing on your island, I'd recommend downsizing these vending machines a bit so they're more compact. Go to the bottom corner, hit clear items when you're making a new vending machine, and the previous one that you copied over has items in it. Now grab your new weapon, place it in the vending machine, make sure it doesn't get into the other ones, and set the cost higher. Now place it alongside the other vending machines. I would recommend keeping this below like 100 or 50 items or something of the which, because you really want to be able to, first of all, A, multi-select it, and B, prevent lag, because imagine having 400 vending machines on your map. Now, bring this over and put this inside of your base. If you need it to be larger, make it larger. Like, if you need your base to be larger, make it larger. Now that you have done that, I'm going to show you the other way to make a shop. If you have more vending machines than you'd like in your base. Alrighty, grab the teleporter device from your menu and place it down. Set the settings as I do. Set the teleporter group equivalent to the team that you're on the island you're on. So for this case, I'm on team 1, so I'm going to set it to group A. Set teleporter target group to group Z. I would make sure that the rift is visible and all that. Conserve momentum is your choice, and those are all the settings for the teleporter device. Now, place down a billboard. This is optional, but place down a billboard and write text on it. I'd recommend making sure that it's centered. So just do the settings that I do. Make sure that sample text is visible. On my case, I didn't, so text was backwards here. But set the text size to extra large and set the text justification to centered. Alrighty, now it is time to make the shop complex itself. So basically, I would recommend placing this under mid, towards the bottom of the map. For this, we're going to be bridging up by around 5 tiles. And we're going to be making an area for the shop to be. I would recommend making this a little bit large. Just don't make it too large. I'd say like 10, like a 3x5 area should hopefully be enough. If you need more, obviously make more. And don't use wood tiles for like the final map. So grab the teleporter and bring it down to the bottom. In the center of your area, place it down. Set the settings as I do. Set the group to group Z. Set the teleporter target group to none. Set the rift visibility, visual effects, and sound effects off. And there you go. You made that. Now we're going to be making the go home teleporters. These are the teleporters that allow you to head back to your base. So in the corner or wherever you want it to be, place one teleporter. Set the settings as I do. Set teleporter group to none. Set teleporter target group, this is team 1, so group A. And set the team to team 1, because this is team 1's teleporter, in a sense. Now, for this one, I'm going to be setting the rift visibility to on, but not the visual and sound effects. Now, for the next one, we're going to copy this, and we're going to place it a little bit out so we can edit the settings. For this one, set the group B and team 2. And set teleporter rift visibility, no. For this one, I'm going to turn the visual and sound effects on. I don't know why I didn't do it on the first teleporter. And now we copy it and make another teleporter. Set this group C and team 3. And also turn off all this visual and sound effects. We're going to copy this again. And to do this until you have enough for all of the teams that you have in your map. Now place them all inside of the block inside of each other. Now, this will serve as a big teleporter blob that anyone can enter to and return to their base. Now, this time I'm going to be placing a billboard. And luckily I did it correctly this time. Setting it to go home or back to base. To make sure to set text size to extra large and text justification to center. Resize it if you don't think it's enough space. There you go. Now you're back at your base. That's the shop system for that completed. Make sure that you put down your own vending machines using my instructions from before if you need to place down additional teleporters to make more sections. If we go in game now, you'll see this. First of all, the vending machines should hopefully work. The only reason I'm able to pick up the guns is because I have infinite mats on. If you're making a shop system, that should work too. So the other shop system I made, it should also work. You should be able to go back to base using the one teleporter, and it should bring you back to your base. You should be able to not destroy your own bed, but be able to destroy enemy beds. Everything about that should be working. Okay, now we're going to be making the player respawn system, where if your bed gets destroyed, you will no longer be able to respawn, and you'll die once you get killed. So for this, spawn in a new player spawn pad, set settings as I do. Enable during phase, none. Team 1. Primary group, secondary. Use sound start, no. Visible during games, no. And enable receiving from channel 1. This is for team 1 spawner. Now, we're going to make the area for this. As you'll see, I'm going to be placing this above the shop. Just make sure that you do this for as many islands as you have. And well, what we're going to do is we're going to come down to the shop. We're going to place some walls and build it up around like 7-ish tiles. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure that it doesn't get in the way of the shop and that no one gets killed in the process. Alright, place down the spawner, and we're going to be grabbing the class selector and class designer devices. Go in your devices tab and grab those two devices and place both of them down. Alright, set settings as I do. Scroll down until you find spawn limit. Set this to 1. Also, make sure that you set the class identifier to 1. You can name the class name whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Just leave it blank. And now, grab out the other device that we got, the class selector, or I think that's what this one's called. But anyways, what we're going to be doing is, alright, so set the class select to 1. It's time to switch instant. Activation and zone audio, we're going to be turning those off. Doesn't really matter. And now that you've done that, we're going to be getting an elimination zone, which these are now called damage volumes, and I'm forgetting that. But we're going to be grabbing the elimination zone, or damage volume, and place that down. Set the settings as follows. Set the zone width and depth. I'd set that to 3x3, so 3x3. And set the damage to elimination, damage type to elimination. That's good. You don't need to do anything that I'm doing right now. And now that you have done that, that's all you have to do for the damage volume. Now you've done that, build the area around the damage volume. Also, make sure that for your class selector, make sure that that thing has a radius. Right now, I forgot to put a radius on that. Make sure that it has a radius. I'd be safe and just do maximum radius. But I probably wouldn't do that because you could fall onto it and then just lose all your lives to it. But now copy these spawners and set the settings. Set the team up by 1 and set the channel up by 1 for each spawner. Now make sure that this place has walls and stuff. Make sure no one can escape. And put a roof on it so no one can fall into it. Now that you have done that, let's start the game and see what this looks like. Okay, now we can see the system for ourselves in game. I've used the channel trigger to simulate my bed getting destroyed. And now, let's respawn and see how it goes. As you can see, everything works perfectly. We have finished the fundamentals of the map. You can now finish out your map, and this is everything you really need for your map. But I'm going to be showing you a few more nice things that you can implement into your map. These are completely optional. You do not need to do these things. The fundamentals of the map are working. The rest is up to you. Let's start working on these extra bits. First up, we're going to be making a system where the item spawners on the outsides of the player islands will upgrade throughout the match. To start this, we need to set settings of some additional item spawners. So, first of all, let's go around the islands. In the Stone Island item spawners, these things need to disable when receiving from channel 150. You need to do this for all of the Stone Island spawners. Now that you have done that, we're going to need to copy over the Stone Island spawner once. Set the disable when receiving from to channel 149 and enable when receiving from to channel 150. Inside the spawner, you should put more stone inside of it, or whatever your second resource is. Copy it over once again. This time, set enable and disable. Tick them both down by 1. So this time, well, if it's your last upgrade, then do not set to disable on any channel. And make sure that in all the previous item spawners, make sure that they're not enabled on start. That is crucial. Do not miss that. Now we're going to do the same for metal spawners. Copy the metal spawner over and set the settings I do. Disable on channel 148. Actually, no, just set that to the regular metal spawner. Do not copy. That should be the normal regular metal spawner. Now copy it and set the settings as I do. Go and change. First of all, make sure enable to game start is off. And make it so that it enables when receiving from channel 148 and disables on channel 147. Now copy that one over and do the same. So 147 and 146 this time. Or actually, make sure there's nothing that can disable it because you don't need that. Alright, next up, build a platform right above where your elimination zone is. You might want to extend up the height of your elimination zone for this. What you want to do is grab the timer device from your devices tab. Place down one timer to start out with. Set the settings as I do. Duration should be your choice. But for now, we're going to be doing 5 minutes per timer. For this specific one, auto start on. Alarm audio off. And that when complete, transmit on channel 150. Now we're going to be making another timer. This one's settings are going to be different. Slightly different. Enter this timer, set the duration to 5 minutes. Auto start to off. Alarm audio off and start when receiving from to channel 150. And when complete, transmit on 149. 148. Sorry, not 149, 148. because we're going back and forth between metal and stone, or whatever your two things are. So 148. Now we're going to make a third timer. Yeah, I know, it's getting kind of repetitive. Alright, duration, set that to 5 minutes. Auto start off. Arm audio off. Start when receiving from channel 148. And when complete, transmit on channel 149. Now we're going to be making our fourth and final timer, I think. There might be another one that I'm forgetting. Set the duration to 5 minutes. Auto start off. Alarm audio off. Start when receiving from channel 149. And when complete, transmit on 147. That should be all 4 timers. Remember, you probably should expand up the height of your elimination zone. Okay, now we're going to make HUD message devices to complement this alongside with beds getting destroyed. Grab the HUD message device from the Devices tab in your Creative menu and place it down. Set the settings as follows. Message. I would recommend setting this to something like all stone spawners have been upgraded to tier 1 or something of that, because this is for whatever the stone spawners get upgraded. So let's type that in. Message recipient all. Time from round start. Set that to none or off. Display time, set that to 4 seconds. Text style, you can set that to whatever you really want. Message priority, critical. Play sound is up to you. Placement, I would recommend top center, but center right would also work. Visible during game, doesn't matter, but show when receiving from channel 150. Now copy this HUD message device and place it down. Set the settings as followed. Replace the text with some of all metal spawners have been upgraded to tier 1. Next up, head down to show when receiving from to channel 148. Now copy it again. Set the channel as follows. Well, first of all, actually, set the message so it says stone again, and it's to upgrade to tier 2 instead of tier 1. And set the channel to 149. Alright, now we're going to make, yet again, another HUD message device. Set the settings as follows. Team A's bed has been destroyed. That should probably be some of that, that message should probably be what you put there. Set the display time a little bit longer. Placement is really your choice. And show when receiving from channel 1. Copy that once again for each and every single team that you have. Make sure to set the channel at the bottom up by 1 for each team. Also, this is important. I've just realized that there's a clip missing in here for one of the HUD message devices. This is for metal upgrading to tier 2. Make sure that you have that set to channel 147 to show. Thanks for realizing this, and I'm sorry that happened. To test the system out, I'm going to set these timers to 10 seconds long. This is so that I can see what happens whenever we do that, when we start the game. So let's start the game and see what happens. Now we gotta wait 10 seconds and head over to a stone spawner. This trigger right here is the one I used for simulating bed defense. There you go. Team A's bed has been destroyed according to the game, because I just simulated my bed getting destroyed. So we know that works now, which is great. Remember, when placing these item spawners, you need to make sure you put items in each one. Make it so that these spawners give more whenever the tier goes up. This is completely personal preference. I don't really have much of a recommendation for you, but really try it out. Try out what you think it is, what you think would look good, and see if it works. If it doesn't, change it up. Balancing is important. You really need to make sure you spend time on balancing your map. Okay, now it's time for the island settings. This will be quite a while, but we got to go through all the island settings to make sure you get things correct. In the game tab, voice chat, I recommend setting that to all, but you can set that to team if you really want to. Max players, probably 16. It really depends on what your map is. Teams, set that to either free-for-all or a certain number of teams. You're playing with a certain number of players. Actually, no. Set that to the number of teams that you have in your map. So if you have four beds, then 4 teams. Team size, I would probably set this to split evenly. Matchmaking type, off. Default class identifier, none. Preferred default class at end of game. Spawn limit, infinite. After last spawn, go to spectator. Total rounds 1. Team rotation disabled. End game on match point win, no. Team visuals determined at round start. Time limit, set that to infinite or none. I'm sorry, I'm just going to only go over the ones that I'm changing from now on. I don't want to list every one of them. Win condition, most rounds wins, I guess. Last standing end game, turn that on. Join in progress, spectate. Only Ross respawn if spawn pad's found. No. Actually, yes. Auto start off. Game start countdown, 3 seconds. That is your choice. Allow out of bounds, turn that off. While spectating other teams is your choice. It really depends on personal preferences. Sorry about background noise. Player collision is really your choice. I'm going to turn that off for this example. Moving on to the settings tab. Time of day is personal preference. So is all that other stuff. I'd recommend starting health, max health. I'd recommend starting out without shields, and you have to get the shield yourself. Though that is fully up to you, and I'm not going to do anything about it. Infinite ammo off. Infinite resources off. Maximum building resources is up to you, depending on what your map accommodates for. I used 500 in most of my maps. Anyways, harvest style doesn't really matter. Harvest multiplier 1 times doesn't really matter. Allow aim assist is your choice, depends on how annoying your friends are. Allow building, all. Allowed to edit, default. Building can destroy environment. I would probably set that off. It's your real choice, but I would most certainly set that off. Environment damage. Oh. Environment damage. Off. Wait, player built only, actually, sorry. Structure damage, all. Weapon destruction, 100%. Pickaxe destruction, default. PvP pickaxe damage. That's your choice yet again. Really depends on if you want people pickaxing other people. Pickaxe range multiplier, not necessary. DBNO, default. Eliminate player's items. Eliminate player's items. Make sure you set that to delete. Now, honestly, you could set it to drop if you want to, but I really wouldn't recommend that. Allow item drop and pickup, yes. Auto pickups. Auto pickups. Just don't override for basically any of these. Spawning time is default respawn time. I'd set that to 1 second, though it can be 5 seconds. Actually, I probably wouldn't set to 1 second because that might be a bit overpowered. So 5 or 7 seconds would probably be a pretty good number, as you don't want to be able to respawn instantly. Fall damage, turn that on if you want, off if you don't want it. Spawn immunity time default. Glider redeploy, I would recommend turning that off. Jump fatigue is your choice. Player names and location, make sure to keep that team only unless you want everyone to see each other's locations. Now, Siphon is up to you if you want Siphon. For my maps, I have them as an upgradable, unlockable, so I don't have that on, but that's up to you. Allow manual respawning, I would turn that off, but apparently I didn't here. Alright, move on to UI. Alright, game, score, display time, apparently like 5 seconds. Round score, display time, 8 seconds, I guess. I don't know. I don't even think you need that. Anyways, map screen display, overview map. That should be all the settings you need. If you're playing your map and you feel that it's too large, I'd recommend placing speed modulators down on each of your islands. Make sure you set the speed to the time to infinite and speed boost to whatever you think is suited. That's it. Thank you guys for watching. I know I haven't uploaded in many months. Wow.